Hello guys and welcome back to my channel. It has been a very long time. I've been on holiday, spent 10 days by the beach, so that was a pretty exciting experience. It was a caravan holiday, so it was pretty quiet, got up to a lot of good things. I thought I would post another video though before we do the podcast, just so to keep you guys on your toes. I had a quick look at YouTube analytics and looking at my podcast, 58% of people who watched my podcast last time were not subscribed, so please click the subscribe button. It really helps us out. We're on the push for 100 subscribers now, make it to a nice 3-digit number. And the most recent video I put out, my British Grand Prix review, 82% of you watching were not subscribed. Why are you watching and you're not subscribed? Please do click the subscribe button. It's completely for free and it really helps the channel out. As I said, we're pushing for 100 subs. We're a small channel, but we'd like to hit some big milestones along the way. So the video that I'm doing today is probably not going to get as many views due to the fact that it is a very specific topic, and if any of you are watching who are American, you might not know what this is, or have little knowledge than people who do in Britain. I'm doing a autism video, like describing what it is, like the sort of the spectrum behind it, like some of the stereotypes, some of the things that have happened, that have spiraled throughout its history. And where it came from, etc. So without further ado, let's get into this video. So what autism is basically it's a neurological condition which is not curable. Basically it affects your social skills and your ability to communicate, like your not necessarily academically, but it more sort of hinders your social skills and your sort of sensory stuff, the anxieties, that sort of thing. Obviously, I myself have autism, and my sort of difficulties are, social skills, anxiety, sensory. I've never struggled academically. I've always been like getting quite good grades in my classes and stuff, but for me it's always been like the processing side, the anxiety side, the social, like making friends, the eye contact, that sort of thing. It does hinder sometimes when I go to new places where I have to it takes me time to get used to environments and so on, but I will get into these later. There is a plane going overhead, so just ignore that. So basically the stereotypes, autism was the first ever person to be diagnosed was by a guy called Hans Asperger's back in 1939, I believe, where basically he got a small group of children, and he basically monitored the traits and saw which ones were out of the ordinary, which ones were the same. And so the first time he coined it, he coined it autistic psychopaths, but obviously nowadays it's nothing like that. And the terms neurotypical and neurodiverse came a lot later. Neurotypical usually means people who are not who are not neurodiverse, so people who don't have special needs and whatever. Neurodiverse is obviously people like me, people who have ADHD, dyslexia, dyspraxia, OCD, ADD, all of these sorts of things. So what I'll now do is go through sort of the separate things and then get back to some stereotypes. So the first one is the sensory side, which I myself struggle with a little bit, and then it obviously includes noise. Well, all the 5 senses: sound, touch, taste, smell, and the other one. And basically, for me especially, the senses that are impact me the most is smell and touch. Sound is still a bit like loud noises. Like I used to hate balloons popping as a kid, but they affect me the most. Obviously, some of my friends, I won't name them, but some of my friends have food issues, like they can't have certain colour foods on the same plate, or they have to have them separated. Some people don't like the certain textures of foods, the certain textures of things. Like I developed, I don't know what the actual name is, but I developed like tics for sensory stuff. So if I touch something I don't like, I jot my neck or just have like a random moment. It's not like massively bad, like it's not like a treatable thing. The next bit is the social side, which obviously like counts for social anxieties, eye contact, which is a massive thing for what I'll talk about later, as well as like making friends, going into new environments, that sort of thing. So obviously I moved to uni about a year and a half ago now, and started my thing, and obviously I had to get used to that after leaving a very, very, very brilliant school, a school for neurodiverse people. So it was a brand new environment to get involved to. Luckily, I'm doing okay. I am doing well. I'm doing really, really good. I'm starting my final year this year, so that's good. But yeah, obviously, the social side can come with obstacles. Obviously, with the eye contact, not being able to look in people's eyes. Obviously, if you're looking away, it could be like you're distracted or you're not listening or whatever, and you could get told off, and but obviously as you get older and as you grow up, you sort of start to learn to adapt, and you tell people these things, and hopefully they are respectful enough to sort of incorporate that. And like I'm a massive advocate for all this sort of things, and I get very hurt if I hear stories about people, especially with ABA, all that sort of thing. The next one is mental health and anxiety, like obviously if you've watched my video The Truth, which I will put up in the screen there, link to it, and in the description, obviously you know what happened to me about a year and a half ago, and obviously the anxiety with that is a lot more. Like people who are neurodiverse are 2 times or twice as more likely to get mental health issues like depression, like sleeping disorders, eating disorders, etc. So it is quite a hard and difficult thing to accompany and have. Like my anxiety affects me quite a bit, and some of my friends watching this might be able to relate. Like we sort of think of the worst possible scenarios, and we worry about small insignificant things. So when I go and play football down the local park, I always worry that there are going to be dogs down there because I have a fear of dogs, etc. That sort of thing. Going to a big city like London, I always worry that I'm going to get pickpocketed, or I'm going to have something stolen from me, I'm going to get stabbed. Stuff like that, And then obviously the last one is long-term effects, so obviously I'm at that age now where I'm going to be graduating from uni and start looking for work, obviously jobs. And we had when I was at school, we had a job, like a careers person come in, and they said that about 50% of people who put that they're neurodiverse on their CVs are less likely to get into a job, because obviously big companies, like Microsoft, Sony, etc., they won't want to have to accompany to people's needs, which is the harsh fact that it is, but it's the truth realistically. And obviously with interviews as well, as I touched on with eye contact and social stuff and having handshakes, obviously some people may not like to engage in a handshake because it's too difficult for them. Eye contact especially, and obviously I rock backwards and forwards as like a stimming thing. It's like it's all different things that could count as you not either the interviewer giving you the interview. They might think that you're not listening, or you're not like engaged in the job, or you're not really interested. But these are all things you have to adapt by, and these are things that you have to adapt with, and will have to adapt with. New job environment. The things that come with work. Meeting new people, having to engage with them in conversation and whatever. It's a very daunting thing, and it's probably going to put me off it for a while. But I will eventually get the courage to do it. I think with a bit of a helping hand, an arm around the shoulder, and a bit of a push, it should be okay. But and the last thing I'll do before I end this video off is basically talk a little bit more about the stereotypes, and especially ABA, which is something I'm massively passionate about. And by passionate about, I mean deeply infuriated by, about how it even exists as a company itself. So basically, ABA stands for Applied Behavioural Analysis, and it's basically where they use horrible methods to try and cure the autism or get the autism out of you. I've read stories on the internet, and I've watched documentaries of a Chris Packham documentary where they've actually interviewed people who have been through it, and they say it's the worst thing they've ever gone through. It's almost like a bit of torture. I will put a link to that website in the description if I can find it. But yeah, they basically use electroshock therapy to basically stop. Yeah, so for example, obviously you can't see my chair, but let's just say they put you in a room and put your arms to your chair, and if you fidget or stim or anything, they shock you with electroshock therapy, and it basically gives like a psychological thing where if you stim for any reason, it's basically you're trained to expect pain and punishment, and you don't really want that as a person living with autism. I mean, it's hard enough. The difficulties in real life is hard enough in itself, but and I despise the fact that it still exists. There's loads of them in America. So if you're a person who works in ABA, I hate you so much. Like, why do you even put people through it? And there's also a clinic of it in London, which I'm going to advocate against, which I absolutely hate as well. Other stereotypes. People in America used to think that autism was caused by the measles vaccination, which obviously we all know is bollocks. And absolute rubbish, but obviously that caused the measles epidemic, and in both Britain and in America, families just wouldn't take their kids to get their measles vaccine for a very long time, and it caused a lot of people to be ill and get a lot of the measles side effects that were going around at the time. But before I get any more angry, that's where I'm going to end off the video. If you want another video like this explaining more specific things, I will do one of those. Also, look for my Instagram and my TikTok, as I do some autism stuff on there as well. And I will see you in the next video, which will be an accent video, where I go through voices and stuff that I can do, all for entertainment purposes only, of course. So please don't sue me for stereotypes and whatever. And yeah, I'll see you again soon.